Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This, of course, is another anime reaction video. Today we're going to be a little more Eden's Zero, episode 6. I'm very excited to be getting into more Eden's Zero because I've been loving this series so far, and if you also love Eden's Zero, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. You can also hit the notification bell too. That would be very kind of you, so you don't miss a single upload of Eden's Zero in the future. Again, I'm very excited to get into this episode because we're hot off the heels of a plot with robots and emotions and fucking time travel of all things, which I was not expecting. But I guess it's because I'm not familiar with Mashima's work, as I've said before. Because it was mentioned to me in the comments that not only will it be more explained, I think this episode or in the next 2 episodes, but also the fact that Mashima has used time travel in past series before. And it also was mentioned to me that this is more of a space fantasy than it is a sci-fi, a hardcore sci-fi, which is totally fine, because either way I'm on board. I'm really enjoying it. I'm not gonna like drop this show just because it's not adhering strictly to sci-fi and it doesn't use all the incredible algorithms to calculate whatever the fuck. I already kind of knew this wasn't going to be super scientifically accurate because of the Sakura cosmos, where this is the galaxy, or I assume it's the galaxy that this is mostly taking place in, having the petals flying around it. That would not work out in real life unless it's some sort of like not exactly inorganic matter or whatever that's flying around. They just look kind of like the Sakura flowers from Earth. But either way, again, super interested in continuing with the series. Yeah, I wouldn't drop this series because it doesn't go into it in depth and have like a whole arc surrounded around the mystery of black holes or something. It doesn't get really scientific or anything. But as always, link down in the description below will take you to the full-length uncut reaction on BitChute. Go ahead and watch the reaction there. Come back to YouTube for discussion. That all being said, let's get started with episode 6 of Eden's Zero. Alright, so we finally, first of all, we finally, sorry, there was a noise outside and I was just listening to that, but we finally got an explanation on what exactly is happening, and you guys are right, that was a really interesting way to do it, is there is a monster that can steal time. It's very fantasy, because it reminds me of, Julius from Black Clover, the Wizard King, and his ability, which involved time as well, time manipulation. That was part of his ability, which is, I guess, technically spoilers for Black Clover, but whatever. Is that part of his ability is stealing other people's time and using that for himself, which is really time powers, which is great, because that means technically there's no time travel issue. I mentioned it last time, but sci-fi usually has a hard time with making good time travel because time travel is physically impossible, and I'm pretty sure it's like theoretically impossible too, except for you know, the theory of relativity and because that only works in one way, and that's going forward, like one of you mentioned. So time travel backwards is theoretically and like physically impossible from my knowledge. So the only way media can do it is to make up rules on how it works. And the problem comes when they don't follow those rules, is the media, is they don't follow the rules, because it's really hard to follow those rules, especially if you want to tell an interesting story too. And it's just like, it makes the writing process really tedious to have to constantly have like a set of rules and making sure everything flows properly. And if you end up doing something later down the line in the story, and then it's like, wait a minute, but that ruined something early in the, it's a mess. So it was definitely a fun like twist, like holy shit, they time traveled or something like that. But then it's just like, no, it wasn't actually time travel. There wasn't technically, by most people's definition, it wasn't time travel. It's just, and the fact they have to bring the chronophage back eventually. If not soon, it's got to come back eventually, because that's a really interesting plot point. Is a monster that goes around stealing time from planets, and the fact that it was also in the opening in ED. It's gonna be doing that. I don't. Did they bring it up? I might have just forgotten. But so it steals time from things, and in the example that we have is is the planet Norma, which is now forever 50 years in the past. But what if what about the people that were on the planet? Because obviously Wise escaped from it, but what about like the people that were still on it? What happened to them? Were they? Because it brought in a new, because it was essentially an alternate world that is 50 years ago. I think they said it was like a parallel timeline world that's just the same planet as it was 50 years ago, and you can affect it and it won't change everything else around it because it's basically just another world. So in order for that to work, because this is one of the questions I was thinking of during the explanation, is obviously new people had to be made to replace the ones that weren't there anymore, that after 50 years were gone. Like Professor Wise, he was off planet when the chronophage attacked, but 50 years ago his younger self was there. So they had to make a younger self out of something, right? And while it probably doesn't matter in the long run, it's just something I was thinking about, is like, how? What did they make them out of? Because they're fully functioning humans as they were 50 years ago. And I can only think it's just space magic that the chronophage has. I think I'm just thinking too much into something that doesn't matter, which is like, alright, fair enough. But I just thought it was like a valid thing to bring up, because then it also begs the question, what, again, what I was saying before, is the people who are still on the planet, what happened to them? Are there now two versions of the same person? One who's from the present and one from when they were 50 years younger? Are they in the same people on the same planet? Or did the one during the chronophage when it attacked, did the person, let's say they're like what, 60 years old right now in the present, and then so is it the 60 years old person and a 10-year-old version of themselves on the same planet? Or when the chronophage attacked, did the 60-year-old person like disintegrate into nothing, or like get teleported to a different area or something like that, and now just the 10-year-old version of them exists on the planet? Again, we're off the planet now. We're probably not going to talk about Norma or the chronophage for at least a little bit longer. Like maybe the chronophage sooner than than Norma, but I feel like Norma's going to be kind of like pushed to like the back burner for a long time. And it might not ever come back, but it's just like an interesting question, I guess, to bring up. You know, if they never bring it up again won't affect the rest of the series, but it's just questions, you know. I yeah, that. Okay, so like I said at the ending, during the ending or the ED of episode 7, I wasn't even planning on reacting to episode 7 today. I was just gonna do 6, and then I was gonna leave it alone, because no matter what, I'm gonna catch up to the current whatever the current episode is right now, because right now I have the rotation going around: Gintama, Eden Zero, and then Haikyuu. So if I'm not stupid, hold on a second, just referencing my calendar here, the 29th, which is the day I'm recording this, is Gintama. Wait, no, the 29th, which is today when I'm recording this, is Record of Ragnarok episodes 9 through 12. And the day after that, the 30th of June, would be Gintama. And then the 1st of July would then be this episode, episode 6 and 7. And so I think Eden Zero is at episode 12 right now, so 13 will be July 4th, I think. And then either way, I'll probably be around episode 10 if I keep doing 2 episodes per video. If not, I'll just be at episode 9 by the time 13 comes out. Either way, no matter what, I will be catching up pretty quickly, which is fine. But again, I wasn't planning on reacting to 7, but I'm so glad I did, because that was so much of like a stopping point than episode 6 was. Because 7's not necessarily a cliffhanger, it's more like because it doesn't, how do I describe this? I'm at a loss for words on how to describe this, but I hope you kind of understand what I'm saying. It's not that I don't feel excited to continue it, but it's just the way this episode ended versus the way episode 6 ended, it feels so much more like a good place to stop, despite also making me want to continue, if that makes sense in any way. But anyway, getting back to the actual episode itself, it was so, like, alright, and I'll admit it, you know what, I don't even care. I'll say it out loud, but I don't even care. Just know I don't even care. Because the animation for the fight this season wasn't, like, tops or whatever. I'm not caught up with Boruto. I'm, like, slowly getting into that series, both in the manga and the anime. But I watched some of the animation from episode 204, which is the most recent one, and goddamn is that beautiful. But I think the reason why this doesn't look as good is because it's probably not as important as of a fight. Because there was some cool animation in episode 4 or 5, one of those two. I think 5, when they were being chased by the big one, the big cyber robot that he was controlling. But this one didn't have as much impressive animation, which is fine, because I literally watched all of Regular Ragnarok, which is being ass-reamed on the internet for having lackluster animation, which I'll be one of the few to say I didn't mind the animation being so low, but the part where Shiki uses the gravity comment, whatever it's called, when he, like, which they didn't say it outright, but I doubt this is Shiki's full power. But when he did that, that animation of him slamming the mimic Elsie through the floor, I thought it looked nice. Alright? And even ignoring animation, because I've said it before, I'll say it again, animation isn't everything. The characters in, like, the story and, like, the extra layers of mystery they've added on, like, they've answered some questions, but they're continually making me ask more questions. They gave you some answers, they gave us more questions too, which I always enjoy that about series. One of the biggest reasons that I loved Dorohedoro so much is because they keep throwing on more questions as they answer them up until the very end. Dorohedoro is amazing. Season 2, hopefully sometime. But I'm really interested to see more about Justice and whoever, because we didn't even see what his ether exactly was, his ether gear, but it turned his hair blue. He had a little thing on his eye, which makes me think that it might be something to do, because as far as I know, the ether gear pattern doesn't go all over the body except for certain people. From what I saw, I don't remember. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, because I'm not going to go back through episode 6 just to find a... you know what, fuck it. Let me see if I can. Let's see if I can find it. Because it looked like, based on episode 6, Wise's ether gear was only in his arms. And that would make sense, because you use your hands and arms a lot as a mechanic. And in Shiki's case, it looked like they were on his arms as well. Maybe in his legs. I can't remember. But when he was, it would make sense that it goes all over his body because gravity affects every part of your body. And so basically what I'm saying is it only really affects, or it only appears in the area that your power manifests. So in terms of Rebecca's, it did go all the way down her leg, so I'm not really sure what's up with that. Maybe she'll be able to shoot things out of her leg too, but it appeared first in her arm, and she shot a laser out of her arm. I think there's just more to her power that I just don't know yet, because obviously why would I know the full extent of her power yet? But then, so it leads to me to this conclusion that I was thinking is this Justice guy, who's got the at least it was initially shown to be appearing from around his eye, the ether gear marks. It makes me think that has something to do. And maybe that's why he's like the commander or something, because it increases his analytical abilities and it makes him like a really good leader in war times, you know what I mean? But real quick, that shot of the Demon King with some people following behind him, here in the OP, gotta be this person. This one right here. The headgear is mostly what gives it away, and kind of the hair. Which which I was saying, because they showed like a series of characters that looked like they might be villains. And then she showed up kind of at the end, which means she has something to do with some of the villains, but isn't actually a villain herself. Either way, and maybe it's just because we didn't see it, but it looks like the ether mark only appears around his eye, too. I think it's got to be something like that, like what I was saying about the ether gear. Either way, I'm not fully sure. Of course, I'm never going to be fully sure about anything in this show, because they could hit me with anything at any time. I wasn't expecting the fucking time travel plot point, or the twist on that it wasn't actually time travel, so to speak. You know what I mean? But either way, fuck that ending with the logo. Ugh, so cool. Either way, I'm super excited to get into more Eden Zero. I can't believe there are people that are shitting on this show. If they're shitting on it, they have not read any of the manga or the watched any episodes of the anime. They just saw that the character designs are kind of similar to Fairy Tail, and they're like, here it's probably trash. But this is amazing so far. I love it. I love every bit of it. People need to give things more. People need to give things fair shots. I would have not fallen in love with Bleach as much as I have if I listened to the people and didn't give it a try. But that's completely unrelated. If you joined this video and you watch all the way to the end, make sure to press the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single upload in the future. Once again, thank you for watching.